where's my TV? I can't see. Yep.
There we go. Now we're truly live.
Smart TV.
Fran have trouble getting it.
She couldn't find it.
Oh.
Nana had to watch it on YouTube. She was
There
very
we go.
upset.
All right, we're all set?
Yeah.
Good. I'll be in after 7. Quorum, February 15th, planning board meeting. First item, January 18th minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments?
I sent my comment.
Okay.
Which one was it?
Yes, you did.
There was, I've forgotten which one. There was one item early in the minutes of either that one or the next one where you say, like, usually say Mr. O'Leary asked, and it just says O'Leary asked. And
Okay,
if you-
I will
that-
check.
That could be adjusted. I'm not sure if that's this one or the next one,
I'm not
but
sure either.
if that could be adjusted,
Yeah.
whichever one it
Yeah.
belongs on.
All right, is that it, John?
Yep.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that on both of them, John?
Hmm?
That was on both?
Yeah. February 1st to January 18th. All right, we got another minute. MBTA article. Make a motion, because they said it to us, so we gotta make a motion to hold the hearing. And when was the date? It was
I
April
believe it's
something.
April 4th.
So that lines up with advertising, okay?
Yeah, it's April 4th at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Make a motion to advertise on April 4th for 7 for the MBTA article by the
Second.
selectmen. You have a second?
Second.
Second itself. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed.
Opposed?
You opposing to the hearing? I know you
Opposing
don't
to the
like
article, but
it. So we go
it's supposed to be held.
3, 1,
I
1.
own property in the CBD.
You abstain?
I own property in the CBD.
Yeah. So a whole lot of people. That's what it's gonna come down
I
to.
don't think it's appropriate I vote on it.
I think we should check into Milton. Milton's arguing.
Milton's vote?
I think
Yeah.
it's a
This
similar
ain't even coming to the
situation.
town vote. This is only going town meeting, which I don't understand the difference, but.
They did a petition drive to put it on town meeting. They first went to their town meeting,
Oh, okay.
and the town meeting voted positive. Then there was a petition, a citizen petition initiative to bring it to a townwide election.
Okay, so they did it after. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, 7:05, League School. The League School. Do we have a letter? Huh?
What?
Are we doing this?
Didn't we receive an email?
Oh, Joe's there, I forgot.
Those were new comments that came in, and
Oh,
we were
all
waiting
right.
for fire department. They came in, and Joe's gonna speak to it.
All right, the hour, all right. The hour being after, 7:05, continued League School, case 2307. Thought you were there. I don't know how I could have done that, but, all right, we sent one to, oh, this is a while ago. Extension, okay, from Sewer and Water, dated the 23rd of January. They have no additional comments. And let's see. We get- gotta make sure I got the right date, February 5th, January. All right. This is from Alan Hover and Walpole Fire Department, and Walpole Fire Department reviewed the most recent site plan and the following comments. We communicated with the applicant, and our original concerns and comments have been addressed from our previous letter. So, and this previous letter is the 17th, so you're all set with them. Correct. And did I drop the town engineer's comments?
We had already gone over that, didn't we?
Comments were delivered on the 16th, Mr. Chairman, of
I
January.
know, Carl. Just wanted to see if you...
If I was there?
Yeah, paying
I'm there.
attention. Okay. All right, that being said, that was the last thing we really needed was the fire department, so you have anything you want to say, add?
Nothing to add at this time.
All right, nothing to say?
Thank you very much.
It's always best not to say.
Yep.
Open mouth, right? All right. Site plan. How come we get, oh, everybody gets one, right?
Tan.
There you go. All right, make a motion, I'll go close the hearing. Have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now, we should go through the special conditions. I don't know if we've had any.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
We did?
Well, I'd like to have some on my January 16th letter, items 62 and 63.
Yeah.
Should be special conditions. I've asked for that in the memo. 62 is regarding the RRFB, which is the crossing signal at Moose Hill Road, and we desire to have that maintained. It serves only for the league school, so it'll be maintained by them. Item 63 is a condition about planting shrubbery in the Moose Hill public layout. Basically said it's there at our convenience, and if it needs to go, it will go. But we recognize that they want to dress up the entrances with lower plantings. Also, Mr. Chairman, the Board and Sewer and Water Commission has delivered a memo on December 5th asking that a special condition be added regarding the private sewer system serving the League School site. And actually, the rest of my January 16th letter should be noted as well, because there are still some minor plan revisions and things that go along with that, plan additions.
Okay, so the conditions will be, we'll incorporate your letter of January 16th as a special condition, and no, the last one, Kate, would be sewer and water. That will be made a private. Yeah, I remember that from the other week. So those are two. I don't think we have anything else. All right. So with those, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Run. Run. You don't hang out with these things. We'll tell your boss you're here like midnight, okay? In case you're getting on overtime.
He knows. I tried at 7, but doing dinner at Mom's anyways.
Okay, done. All right. Oh, good.
You could have it if you want.
7:10. Next one.
104 Main Street.
All right, dated February 15th from the Arden Group, Joseph Dorsett, President. The Arden Group has applied the site plan for the proposed parking lot at 104 Main Street. At this time, we wish to withdraw the application without prejudice, so that they're folding their tents. So make a motion to them, allow them withdraw without prejudice.
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Boy, they're rolling. Alright. Now, we got a few minutes, Kate. Yeah, whatever's up next.
That's the extension.
Yeah. That was Biden, I could read it like this.
Just go.
All right, we got a letter from Mackey and Mackey on February 8th regarding Paragon Investments, 25 Springfield Street and 130 West. As counsel on behalf of Paragon Investments, we request that the board vote extension time for the construction of the above captioned project for 3 years. The site plan was endorsed on April 22nd, April 21st, 2022. The applicant is giving 2 years for the endorsement or until April 21st, 2024 to exercise. However, the original project's being put on hold for a different project with the same locus, so they want to set extended up through April 21st, 2027.
I think, so I was puzzled on this one, why it's 3 years when we only allow 2 years for a regular plan. So I would suggest we do 2 years.
I would suggest we do 1 year.
I thought 3 was a little like, to let it sit there for 3 years. I've had a lot of complaints about what it looks like already. So I don't think we should let it sit like that for 3 years.
All right, I get,
What kind of comments has there been?
I've had people, actually at least 3 separate people comment to me that it looks a mess. It's all overgrown and when's it gonna get started and things like that.
all right, you want 2, John wants 1, anybody else want to weigh in on it?
So 2 is the normal, right?
No, you can have anything you want, they can go 100 years if they want, Phil, there's no
Yeah.
thing, it just holds it out there, the
Yeah.
site plan.
I would
But
agree.
one thing about, just so you understand, site plan, by doing this, you don't get any grandfathering like you do in subdivision control, like an A&R or a subdivision. There is no grandfathering of this. Right, Cal?
Right.
So, to them, it doesn't matter, so,
So if they come back with a new plan, they have to start fresh?
yeah, it's a whole new plan like it doesn't exist.
They have one.
Yeah, well, they got one coming, I guess.
It's coming.
So what would
Doesn't,
the purpose to extend it be then, if they,
well, it's kind of like, a little bit like Bristol, they just hold over here for 2 years and then concentrate in this, so they don't gotta keep remembering to ask for extensions. Doesn't hurt them or hurt us either way.
So they have not done any construction at all?
No, nothing's moved. They got a new plan coming in that's gonna have a bunch more units, so. What do you want, Paul?
I think the 2 is fair. Split the difference.
Bill?
I guess the 2, then I guess.
Yeah,
All right. Oh, we got 2,
I'll-
So you want me to make a motion?
2, 2, 2, 1.
You want me to make a motion?
Yeah, fine.
I make a motion, we extend to April 21st, 2026.
Okay. Yeah, all right, John. All right. Okay, I'll second that. Okay, all those in favor of April 21st, 2026? Aye.
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 All right.
So is that a 500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The A&R, is that getting continued or not?
This one's gonna go, the other one's being continued by Berger.
Oh, this is theirs?
This
I thought
is
someone was gonna be there. Explain.
Nadine, but she's sick.
Good. I'll give you guys- Want me another one?
You need one back?
No. I got it on. All right, how? I know it meets it by just looking at it.
It's fairly simple, Mr. Chairman. There were 2 lots at one time. Both buildings were on their, on their own lots.
Okay.
They seek to combine them. We
all right.
reviewed it technically. We had a couple of small, there was some bad deed references and things like that on there, but they've corrected that.
Oh, okay. All right, so this is, it's considered merged anyway when you own both lots, but now they just want to clean it up.
What is the zoning district?
CBD, right?
Yeah.
What does this do for them, Carl, do you know?
I think it freezes the zoning.
Is that still
What?
CBD?
Freezes the zoning.
Okay, freeze the zone, okay.
Both buildings are still up and in use?
They're up, not in use,
West.
or at least visibly to me, and I go by there most every day.
Yeah, 130 was their office,
Spring
right?
goes out to.
Think so.
Maine.
And
Yeah.
it also had the
Electrical union, right?
103 in there.
103 was in 130, I believe.
Yeah.
You know when you go in Maine to its
So what does this do
companies?
again, Carl?
You come over to
Combine the two.
It's combining the 2 lots, so that dash line in the middle There was one, a Lot 1 and Lot 2, or Lot A and B. I didn't look up the old plan, but I've seen it before. And so now it's combined into one lot.
So it doesn't change the plan that we approved.
We never.
It does not. Correct.
No, I understand about the zoning. I wonder if it did anything for them for,
There's one little
that's it. Okay.
Scrivener's error in the notes.
We've already corrected one, but go on, John.
Note 1 says it's combining lots 398 and 299.
Yep.
That's how much of an issue it is.
Yep.
Yep, that's a Scrivener's error. Sorry, I missed that one.
Yeah, I don't call it, I call it mistake. How's that?
Yeah, it's a mistake. Yeah, there were others as well.
Yeah, but that's,
Yeah, I saw that.
well, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I
John,
didn't see
picking
that
up
one.
That quick, but,
Shame on me.
yeah, I know, but you look down here, it's all over the place, 398, 399, and you go up there, whoops.
Yeah, not to dwell on the issue, but the same issue is with the deed reference for the lots. It was on the two lots, and it was up in the notes, and it was wrong.
So is this the same guy that's gonna be doing the engineering for the new thing?
Well, this is a surveyor,
Yeah, I know,
so
but
it's the
he's-
same firm, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this ought to be a goodie.
Yeah, further, not to dwell on anything, but I don't like the plan that the type is too small or the lettering is too small. It doesn't meet the Registry of Deeds standards. I don't know that the board can deny it for that reason, but they may have trouble at the recording desk with
Yeah,
it.
we can't deny it based upon, what do you call it? This, let them, it's their recording thing. We have
Right.
to give it to them.
But if
do
they
it on a
can't, if they
napkin.
can't record it, they may be back with another one with bigger lettering.
And how long we got to act on this, Kate? They gave an extension, right? Was this the one they gave us to the?
Yes, this is the one we had up through March 1st,
Oh,
but we're not meeting again.
I know, so we can't do anything
So
other
which
than,
letter in, Carl, is it the notes here? or
The notes are too, notes are too small. And and a lot of things, even the registry use notes, and then we wanted them, if you look at the planning board endorsement block, we wanted to add the usual note. It's required in our regs. The no determination of compliance with zoning requirements has been made. That's in very small lettering underneath where the board will sign.
Yeah.
Very small.
Yeah.
And the registry's requirements are so, they too will, even years ago, they scan them, and these become reduced size. Well, you won't be able to read that once it's squeezed into an 8.5 by 11.
you would think doing this every day of the week, when you go to do it for the registry, your thing's all set to the right font size.
Yes, I
There's no
agree.
changing at all, yeah.
I agree.
All right, so we have to say no. All right. I'll make a motion not to endorse, as the plan is in error.
Second.
For note 1, does not correspond with the map, the plan itself. As a matter of fact, none of us, unless we look it up, could determine which is right and which is wrong. So that's, all right, so we got that?
So it's a negative.
Yeah. All right, well, so we don't, it's approval not required, we say we will endorse, we say we can endorse. We can endorse because the notes don't jive. All right?
We vote no. then.
What are you laughing at?
Just want to be clear, are we voting no or yes?
We're voting, we can't,
So
approval
you-
not
is this a-
required, we can't, we're voting not to endorse
Not to endorse.
due to the fact that
Okay,
it
so
doesn't.
a yes vote.
Yeah,
Yes for no.
okay. All those in agreement? That should
Aye.
be.
Aye.
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 All right, okay. Opposed, 500. Gee, if I was sitting around and heard that, I'd be putting my card in this one for the back of the order. I guess he didn't hear that.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, if I was sitting in the office, I mean, the audience, and I see this, I'd be just putting my business card in this on the way back. say it loud enough there? Both times? Okay. All right, scratch that. West End. We have February 14th.
That's 965 West Street. They want to just give us an extension and put it on for our next meeting.
Okay. Yeah,
Freiberger.
so I don't get to read anything,
Want to?
because you just said it all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, as Council Mackey and Michael Freiberger, they want to give us extension up through March 31st, 2024 for the A&R relocation of lot line. Okay? I got that in motion, do I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
And put them on for what date? The 6th, 7th?
March 21st.
Okay. 3/21. All right.
What date do we continue to?
21st, second meeting in March.
Read these.
All right. All right. Last one. What's that?
There's two, it's a special permit site.
Okay. All right.
Share? You have yours?
The hour being after 7:20 and 7:21. We first one at 7:20, we have a public hearing for site plan 2401. It's a continued, from last meeting, we took it without testimony for 241 Norfolk Street. And as part of that, they require a special permit. It goes off at 7:21, and that's case number 2402. And I'll read the notices is notice hereby given that on Thursday, February 1st, which we continue tonight, that we have from SM LaRusso, said property shown in Assessors Map 32, parcels 4301, Walpole Resource Area 3, zoning district LM. Applicant seeking site plan review under section 13 zoning bylaws to the development of site to construct a new warehouse with appurtenant driveways, parking areas, landscaped areas, utilities, etc., as shown on the plan dated 241 Norfolk Street, Norfolk Street, Walpole, site plan by American Engineering. That's for our site plan, and we have a public hearing on Thursday, February 1st, continued tonight, for the owner applicant has requested SM LaRusso a special permit for said property, map 32, parcel 4301, zoning, Walpole Resource Area 3, zoning district 1, I'm sorry, zoning district LM. The applicant is seeking special permit under section 123C4 to allow greater than 15% impervious in the resource area, District 3. And on this plan entitled 241 Norfolk Street. So with that being said, we are open. And with that, Dan, I know you know the drill, so show us what you have, what you plan to do, and then I'll do the comments and then.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Dan Marican, Legacy Engineering, here on behalf of SM LaRusso. Tony LaRusso is here with us tonight as well. This is a piece of property that's slightly over an acre of land at 241 Norfolk Street. It's at the intersection of West and Norfolk. Renmar is here. This piece on the property is owned by the town, a pump station, and also the town's dog pound. There's a wetland area here. There's an infiltrated stream that flows through this area. Received some drainage from Town Road. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. We did file with Conservation. We had our first hearing last night. We're generally satisfied. I've got to make a few changes to address comments raised by the town engineer and the conservation agent, but they were pretty good with everything. So what we're proposing to do is to construct an 8,000 square foot warehouse here, 80 by 100. we would have our main entrance off of Norfolk Street. That would loop through a one-way egress out onto West Street. We have a 24-foot wide entrance coming in. We have loading doors, basically overhead doors proposed along the side of the building. No doors on the front of the building. And then we have, with an 8,000 square foot building, we're required to have 8 parking spaces, so we have 5 here and 3 here. We have a dumpster enclosure proposed right here. There will also be an overhead door on the back side of the building on one bay so that a vehicle could go through and out. And then this driveway here is 20 feet wide, which is the minimum required by the fire code for fire department circulation. We've incorporated the typical fire lane signs and line painting on the ground. I haven't seen whether they've produced any comments yet, but I assume we'll hear about that soon. Stormwater management, it's pretty straightforward. We have an underground system proposed here, fed by a catch basin. One of the town engineer's comments is he'd like to see this replaced with a proprietary separator, which we will do. For this, the roof runoff and this lower part of the main entrance, it flows through curb cuts into a vegetated sediment forebay, and then it's piped into a vegetated shallow stormwater infiltration basin, which has an overflow out towards the wetlands. For this driveway portion in through here, we have a catch basin, which again we will substitute with a proprietary separator that feeds into a shallow infiltration basin, which overflows towards the wetland area. I'll tackle this now. The conversation that we've been having with the town engineer regards the existing drainage system. So presently, here's the lot line, right? So this is an intermittent stream, stormwater swale basically, and a good chunk of it's on town land, but a piece of it's on our land. And then there's a pipe discharge that extends from here through the adjacent property and heads out towards wetlands on the other side. There is also 3 catch basins. This one's almost in the layout. These 2 are in the layout, and there's a pipe that comes from a wetland back here into this catch basin, and then it goes catch basin to catch basin to catch basin. And then there's 2 12-inch pipes that discharge out into the intermittent. So what we are planning to do is to make this catch basin a manhole, because we don't like to have catch basin to catch basin to catch basin connections. Install a new catch basin next to it, which will discharge into the manhole. And we're looking at maybe making some improvements to these other catch basins here. And then the applicant has agreed to replace the 2 12-inch pipes with a single pipe, which I think will be an 18-inch pipe. And the conservation agent has requested that we pull that back from the edge of the wetland, which is standard practice with Mass DEP. And this would basically become a riprap apron. So the stormwater would flow and discharge onto a riprap apron, which would then flow down into the wetland area. So those are things that we've all talked about with Landis and Carl, and we're in the process of making all those changes, and that'll be before you soon. Sediment and erosion control plan, utility plan. We have water service here. We'll have a sprinkler in the building, so we have a fire line and a domestic line. We have a sewer line, so the existing sewer service for 440 West Street, which used to be owned by SM LaRusso, extends through the property right here. It goes from here, kind of right through here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our sewer service in on that same line, put a manhole in, split out a separate branch for 440 West Street, and provide them with an easement, which they don't have presently, so that they're allowed to discharge through the property. We're also gonna provide the town with an easement over this drainage pipeline here, and then up to the edge of the property line here. So that kind of cleans up some of the legal stuff. We have pipes going through the property with no easements, so that'll make all that right. We have a lighting plan, pretty minimalistic, basically wall packs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wall packs on the building. We're not proposing to have any light poles we don't think we need it here for something like this. So this is just going to be a warehouse to store equipment. And that's really the highlights. I think there's anything else that, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. The impervious coverage issue with the special permit, you're allowed 70% on the underlying district. You're allowed up to 15% by right, so between 15 and 70, you need a special permit. We are at 50.6, which is pretty well less than the maximum allowed. And we have stormwater management designed in accordance with town's regulations and DEP Stormwater Management Handbook, providing appropriate treatment and recharge of runoff from the site. That's it. Any questions? Happy to answer.
All right, see what we got. From Lennis Hershey, dated the 16th of January. Project is scheduled for hearing on February 14th. I think you said. From the fire department, Alan Huber, Deputy Chief, and their comments are, please show the proposed location of fire department connection. Please specify the dimensions of the apparatus used for the swept path. All right. And it said it's attached, but I don't know. Sure you got that one, right?
I haven't seen it yet. Those are the only two comments?
No, I got one more. No, what I'm saying is, you have the standard tower swept path with your office? Or you
Yeah,
got-
we have all the information on the fire trucks from the fire department.
All right.
That's what we
And he
need.
wants to show the hydrant. He wants one hydrant to be required within 100 feet of the proposed FDC, which I assume, yeah, the fire department connection.
Okay,
Standard.
okay.
Board of Health, at their meeting on the 16th of January, voted unanimously, is not in favor of new construction within the wetlands, has a long-standing stance on protecting the wetlands and water source. If this project is approved, they urge to adapt best practices for mosquito mitigation and work with Norfolk County mosquito control. There's 2 regular cleaning and gutters, provide grading of the buffer zone in order to prevent low points that hold or draw water, and it also reminds the board that any commercial industrial establishment should store, transport, or hazardous material totally more than 50 gallons liquid or 25 pounds dry weight must register with the Board of Health. From the Sewer and Water, dated January 22nd, the board comments, since this development is within aquifer area, we are concerned what business is going to occupy the building and potential effects on our aquifer. All right, and the last one I have from the town is Kyle's.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I delivered a memo to the board February 6, 2024. I've also provided comments to the Conservation Commission on the drainage, so this, the highlights of those comments are in my memo, and have actually been captured in the review by Mr. American already. So I won't, I'll do the usual and go over the high spots on this, and, you know, as usual, there's some construction detail comments in there, and drafting, things like that. We've indicated that, you know, we want some signage. The driveway that goes out to West Street is going to be one-way, so we've asked for signs there. We actually asked the engineer to do a truck turning plan for something that might be bigger than the tractor trailer, as it's a warehouse use with doors, et cetera. And if that has an impact, it will likely possibly enlarge the curb cuts at the road a little. I don't like tight curb cuts anyway. It limits the options. Based on previous recommendations of the chair, we're asking for bollards between the doors at the building. That would be the east face of the building, the parking lot. And then we've highlighted for the special permit some of the water quality issues that Mr. American highlighted about the CBs and various things that he's already presented to the board to improve the water quality and improve the piping in the that flows both into and out of the site. And that's pretty much it. We met with Mr. Both the conservation agent and myself met with Mr. Merrick and went over these things. So there's a good understanding, and there didn't seem to be any major objections to the comment. So we've still got to work out a few things on how it's going to look up on West Street and who's going to do what. But anyway, it's a clean plan. It's a good plan.
Okay. You all set with him?
Yes.
Okay. Paul?
No, and I would agree with Carl, it is pretty straightforward, so I really don't have anything to add, Jack.
Catherine?
What's the use gonna be? Is it for
Storage of
SM?
equipment.
Storage of equipment.
Yeah, they're, SM Lewis is.
You're not renting it out, it's for you?
No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna rent out some of the bays.
Oh, you are?
Either like classic cars or old trucks and that. There's not gonna be a lot of utility.
So there's no hazardous issue? No storage of,
No hazardous
Other than
materials.
Just, what you might have in your home garage.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give us a list, like,
And there will be floor drains in there and a gas trap.
no, I thought everything was in order, I didn't have anything.
Yeah, and there are no hazardous materials in excess of household quantities proposed for the site.
anything else?
That's it?
Phil?
Yeah, on chart C2,
C2. That's this.
yeah, the little roadway that goes to the garage door on the left, is that, looks like that's 2 or 3 feet above the grade?
Yeah.
There?
There's a retaining wall along here.
Yeah, so when I look at the picture that also came of the building,
Yeah.
and it shows all the doors on the same grade. You know, in other words, it doesn't show that garage door being up 2 feet. It's the same.
No, what it is that the whole site is being filled in.
Okay.
Being raised so that we can maintain proper clearances from our stormwater management system to high groundwater.
Yeah,
So this whole area is getting raised. This door elevation is exactly the same as these door elevations. It's just that the existing ground right here is lower, it's going to be lower, so.
Right.
That's why there's a retaining wall, but the elevation here is the same as the elevation there.
but when you look at this picture,
Yeah.
they all seem to be the same grade. The doors, there
They
are
are.
4 doors. Am I missing something here?
They're all the same
They're
grade.
all the same grade.
Oh, same grade. So those doors, those entry doors have to be 2 feet higher too than the, in other words, if there's a grade,
So there's a retaining wall along here.
yeah, but I'm on the other side.
We're raising this
Yeah.
whole pad area by 2-3 feet.
Yeah,
And so that all of these doors, all the pedestrian entrances in this door are all at the same grade.
they're all at the same grade.
Yes. We need the wall here to transition from the proposed driveway grade to the existing grade.
Yeah. So would that mean, if you were going through this door, one of the side doors, you would have to step up to it then?
No.
No?
No, the
So why would you have
Oh,
retaining?
you're talking about the emergency egress
Yeah.
doors on the back?
Oh,
the back.
oh, okay.
Yeah. On the left-hand side, see on the bottom,
These egress doors.
they all look the same height, but if that garage door on the left is up 2 feet, then it would cause a problem with the emergency doors.
Yeah, we'll end up with little stair sets in there. I'll have to add that.
Okay, so that was my.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Yeah, I couldn't see
Okay, yeah.
how they went together.
Apologize for that.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is on the handicap parking. So if someone was parked there, they would then have to, if they were going to, they might go in any of the doors that are on the garage doors on the right-hand side?
Correct.
So I don't know if there's any kind of marking, it might be good for, crossing in front of those, the bays there. That's just a,
I mean, this is not something it's not like a retail use.
so it wouldn't be a lot of people traveling.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. So just noting that, just to,
yeah.
I wasn't sure what kind of trucks would be going in those bays and, so,
No, I mean, we could make the handicap space one of these. I don't think that matters.
I'm not sure what the right answer is. as much-
Again, it's not a retail activity where the members of the public are going to be visiting the site.
And then the last question I had is if it's possible on the the dumpster to have a recyclable container too. You know, the town is pushing recycling. So-
Yeah, we have a 10 by 20 enclosure there, so there's room for 2 dumpsters, so yeah, sure, I can add a note.
Okay, good. Yep, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, John?
Going back to the elevation view, looking at it from like 4 directions, it looks like you have a flat roof. Looking at it from one of the other directions, it looks like a sloped roof, which is,
I had that question too.
It has a single, I think this elevation
incorrect.
is incorrect. It has a sloping elevation. So right here, if you look at this, they have a parapet wall,
Yeah.
and then the whole roof pitches at like a 2 feet or something like that.
I agree, though, it's confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing. But so they have a parapet wall on the front elevation, so it all will look square. But the actual roof along the side of the building is sloping in one direction, so that all the roof runoff will go in that direction.
Okay, so which way is it sloping?
I'm gonna have to get some clarification on that for you. I wanna make
Is it
sure
sloping
that,
towards the wetlands or away?
no, I think it's sloping towards the doors. But I've gotta find out. Do you know the answer to that, Tony?
Sloping toward the town front.
Towards the back.
Right.
Okay, sloping towards the back. So the roof has a pitch that goes this way. And across here is a parapet wall, so it looks level from the street.
Okay. So the main use will be the storage of equipment. Is this equipment that's being used by Mr. LaRusso in his work? Or is this something outside of that purpose, or?
I have some antique trucks that we built.
Like the one up on top, yeah.
Sorry?
Come on up here.
Like the one on top of the building down the street.
We have some antique trucks, 1 or 2 of them here, there's a couple on the Cape. I have some high-end cars, so I'm keeping one bay for myself for that. I have one bay, pretty much I have a deal with a guy that's gonna keep some cars, and there are also some high-end cars.
So primarily it's storage of large-size items, basically. It's not storing regular boxes and everything, it's
No,
large steel
right,
thing.
yeah.
And I believe Mr. American mentioned there's going to be a trap for any gasoline leakage.
Right.
There'll be floor drains with a gas trap.
Is the rear door expected to be used often, or is it mostly just for a convenience purpose?
There's only one rear door
Right.
for this bay, which is, that's the bay we're keeping,
Mhm.
and the rest are rent. I don't think it'd be used very often at all.
So it's not like your trucks are going to be actually coming into this location, it's just, you're just storing equipment here as much
Yeah,
as
there won't be traffic every day in and out, no, there will not be that.
Okay, I didn't know if you'd be storing equipment used during your normal work
No,
and then coming in and out often.
it really has nothing to do with our crushed stone
Okay.
business.
I suppose my biggest issue is the fact, the 50% coverage, which goes into the special permit issue. Site plan wise, yeah, it seems to work, as long as the fire department's okay with the width, so it can get the truck in and out. I think I might agree with Phil, it might be better to put the handicapped along the side there. It'd be closer to the majority of the doors rather than just having it at one corner.
That's fine.
That goes on there. And it seems as if the underground storage system is designed to hold what would normally be expected to be absorbed into that land if it had been left natural.
But just, I give you the high points of the drainage design. right? We check peak rate of runoff in each design storm and the total volume of runoff in each design storm. Okay, and in each of the design points, which is, we have a flow to the wetlands, which is the main design point, and we have some flow off-site, we are reducing the peak rate of volume and the peak rate of runoff and the total volume of runoff in every design storm, which means we're putting more water into the ground, which will replenish the aquifer.
So you're basically capturing the water in the underground tank. and
Yeah,
allowing it-
we have outlet structures that basically trap some of the water in here so that it has to soak into the ground, and then it releases the water slowly so that we can
Right.
control the peak rate of discharge. So in the net, we're introducing more water, more rainwater to the ground than occurs presently.
So even though you have more impervious surface, you're still capturing all of that water off that surface.
Right.
And focusing it.
Because this whole site is underlain by some pretty nice gravelly stuff.
Yeah.
So when we introduce it into a drainage system, it can get right to that gravelly stuff and be after the treatment and be able to soak into the ground efficiently.
In regards to Phil's mention about the other doorways in the back, it may be an idea to have a walkway or something there for people who would want to get out one of the other doors, other than the one that's right up front.
Yeah, I mean, those are just emergency egress doors. I'll talk to Tony about whether we want to do stairs or something there.
Or at least a flat surface wide enough for people to walk from there down to the roadway,
Right,
get around to the other building side.
Yeah, it could just be gravel or something.
Yeah.
right.
It's, Tony has mentioned automobiles and storage. Would any significant work be being done on the automobiles within the premises? I'm assuming little odds and ends, whatever, but serious.
No, you'd be surprised how many buildings like this are used to store cars, expensive cars. Pretty common.
I don't want to jump in here, but there's not going to be any like lifts or anything like that, like there's...
No lifts, no servicing, no lifts.
Yeah, just strictly storage.
Storage,
Okay.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's quite a demand actually for
Oh, yeah, there is, yeah.
building space to store antique cars.
What's that?
All right, couple comments, questions. Dan,
Yeah.
that little wetlands, is that being created just because it's the manhole, I mean, the catch basins are running into it?
No,
West
there's
Street?
there's a big wetland over here.
Yeah, okay.
And that's
Oh, it
basically-
feeds that way,
That
okay.
dish, so we have drainage coming down from Norfolk Street,
Yep,
and then we have this wetland that discharges, and it all discharges across, and it flows in this direction. And then we also have runoff from West Street here, which is also picking up a discharge from a wetland over here, so it's a confluence of things.
okay. Are you gonna do a list of all the hazardous, you're gonna go the extent you used to do with Jake and Donnell stuff, or you're just gonna,
Well, there's nothing more than household quantities, so
All right.
there's no need to do a list.
so there's nothing you're gonna have to want to even put on there?
No.
All right, household woman, all right. Interested in reading the sewer and waters comments, Area 3, whatever it is. Many years ago, Bill Abbott, when we were talking about this stuff a long time ago, he said, I know it's Area 3, but we would never put a well down there, just knowing the history of it.
Yeah, well,
To me, it's an Area 3, yeah, we're gonna call it Area 3, but we're never gonna use it. So, if you remind Mr. Abbott of that he did say that, because I was surprised, but, he started naming off all the stuff around there,
yeah,
all the industry and everything else, so it's like...
yeah, it's limited manufacturing zone, so.
Yeah, but the history on Norfolk Street, so he said, no. we
Plus the
would-
dump's right up the street.
Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to. On your plan, could you number the spaces so that there's never a question?
Sure.
And the second one is, we talk about the handicap. I'm not gonna beat it to death, but to me, why don't you show either or, and bill inspector can do it, so we don't have to to do either.
Show an alternate location.
Either or, final location by building Commissioner.
Sure.
Is that all right? That way we don't get into, we think this is better, whatever. It's one or other. Make sure it says either or, so you don't end up with two.
No problem.
And the door exits, yeah, you have to conform to the building code. I forget what the square is coming out. But one thing you do have to do, you have to grade it so it's walkable.
Yeah,
You just
right.
So that's a building code issue anyway. That's all I had. As far as I know you know the drill, there's some people who don't, that you'll wait till, I assume conservation's 100% done?
Yeah, we have a meeting with Conservation in 2 weeks. I'm hopeful that we'll get a vote at that point.
So you're not gonna push to close this until after that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. There are certain solar farms that didn't do that.
They haven't been around here as long as I have.
It only makes sense, right? So that was it. Other than that, you got a few things to do, and are we good too, Kate?
I need.
Oh, I gotta call the public. I gotta call anybody in the public?
I think you should approve it.
Well, we got one in favor. Couldn't get any more, Con? All right,
I need an extension, and it would be March 21st or April 4th.
well, now we'll ask Mr. American, when do you want to think you'll get everything?
March 21st, please.
Oh, you want to do that, so you think you'll be all ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll have an extension through March 31st?
Yeah, request and grant an extension on behalf of the applicant up to and including March 31st, 2024,
For site plan.
for site plan and the special permit application.
I'll make the motion for that up to March 31st for both.
Second.
And a second from Kate. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And what do we got for 21st?
705 is the inclusionary zoning article public hearing, and 710 is Lincoln Estates remand.
Oh, wonderful.
But maybe like 706, because this won't take long.
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
You want to go after? Huh?
No, I would rather not.
All right. Well, you know,
706 and 707.
yeah, if you get it in early, Dan, and everything else, so there's no issues, and,
I expect to have it in next week.
oh, okay, wow. All right, so we'll do this on 706
706 and
for the site
707.
plan, and 707 for the special permit. So we'll see you then, 706, 707 on the 21st of March, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks for your time.
Good night.
Good night, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Geez, you got someone working for you, huh? Next step. The old man never did that for you.
No, I did that for him.
I know. A lackey. Look at the short code. It's just expanded. They got junk cars leaking. Yeah.
His property's from there.
No, I understand, but my point is, the whole thing is, that you try to do it right. Town officials like this don't want to see anything. Because that whole thing, you know, sure.
Oh, no, that's Willie Neal.
Yeah, that's,
But what, how did Willie get around?
you just start going, no one follows to go.
So nobody goes up there to bust his stuff?
I don't know if you were there, they're complaint based. No complaint? But that's pretty, it's expanded pretty much further. TJ used to put the stuff over there, maybe they swapped something.
Your time.
All right. So that's fun. All right. Last thing, master plan review. We had it last time. We held it for fall. Do you got anything you want to add or anything you want to see changed?
Jack, if I could?
Yeah.
So at the last meeting, a lot of issues were brought up. And during the debate, I really didn't have a chance to answer a lot of those. There was a lot of interrupting as I was talking. So I would please ask for 15 minutes. I want to go through point by point all of the different concerns that were brought up. I think it's only fair to the committee to have that in a public hearing, public venue.
Good. Well, these were all verbal. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so first, I just want to go through a little bit about the process for the master plan. I know Paul is new to this a little bit. I want to make sure everybody's aware of it, and for our members as well. So the state law requires planning boards to prepare a master plan, Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81D. It doesn't specify how often. It just says that towns have to prepare one and then do it time to time, or can update it time to time. Master plan is very important because it establishes a framework for zoning and policy changes, infrastructure projects, and long-term planning. But the plan must reflect the vision and goals of the community based on the input received by town residents via public forums, surveys, and small group meetings. It's very important that reflect the public opinion. There are 9 elements that are required in a master plan. One of them is just a statement of goals, and another one is implementation. But then there are 7 other areas: land use, housing, economic development, natural and cultural resources, open space and recreation, services and facilities, and circulation, which is transportation. When the select board put out the bid for the consultant to work on the master plan, they added 3 other areas: climate change, historical and cultural resources, and community health. So
What was that last one?
community health.
Health.
So those were 3 that Walpole added to the 7 that are required by state law. I won't go through all the members of the board, but I do want to recognize them. Katie and myself were from the planning board, and members were picked based on their areas of interest or expertise. So there were members from the school committee, which is Carrie Desenio, Andrew Flowers, the Housing Partnership, Janet Fasinelli was the COA, John Heschenberger was the Sewer and Water, Jen Kanakis was Historical, Glenn Mathey was the Select Board, Mike McGrath was Recreation, Danelle Murphy was EDC, and also in the beginning he was one of the at-large members, and the other at-large member was Ashley Clark. And then Patrick Deshane was our town official, who was our support person. And I just want to commend him for all the support that he gave us. So we had a total of 18 meetings. And then we also had 4 forums, and we had 8 leader meetings, which were comprised of Katie, myself, Pat, and then Judy Barrett from Group Barrett Consulting. So one of the big parts of this was the public process. And we had a public forum where 45 participants were there. We had the micro board, which is an online way to get comments. We had 150 comments there. We had an online survey and got 750 respondents. And then we had a number of boards up at different places, the senior center, library, recreation center. And then we also did what we called meeting in a box, where some of us, Katie was one of them, actually held a meeting with just inviting people to come to it. Now, the why this is all important is because we were impacted by COVID. So it made it a challenge to get public input, and I think that's one thing I want to, again, recognize that. I think we did a good job. I think the consultants did a good job to reach out to the community. So I just want to summarize our experience. So I want to first acknowledge the committee members for their work and due diligence. And in particular, I want to thank Patrick Desane for all of his support and help in coordinating meetings. I think Judy Barrett and her team brought deep experience to the process, and they did a great job in gathering data, analyzing it, and I think coming up with the different parts of the report. The early meetings went very well. We made good progress. But after the September 27th meeting, we did have issues where it was hard getting updates from Judy, and particularly updates to the report and meeting with her. And I think those were the delays that we often have heard about, and that did extend things out more than I think any of us would have liked.
September 27th.
2022. Yeah, that was when. And there were, you know, we got the committee got the draft of the report, and we noticed a lot of typos, other editing errors, and so we sent that back, and then it just took a long time before we got the revised version back, which hindered us in doing the next level of review. So, but I don't want those problems to take away from the content of the report, because I think the report is very sound. And it's unfortunate that they happen, but we move on. And as I said, it doesn't take away from all the work that the committee did, and doesn't take away from the content of the report. And I do think it was a really good report. I think it did a fine job in assessing where the town is now, the vision of the residents, and recommending actions for implementation. Now the report, and I do want to say this, I promote everyone taking a look at the different sections. So there's the master plan, vision, and goals, which I think again was a fairly nicely stated summary of what those goals were, extracted from all the input we got. Then there's the inventory and assessment, which is the largest section. There's 9 sections. The section on zoning was incorporated into, it would be land, was incorporated into the other 9 sections. So, and each one is prefaced by a key finding, which I think again is a very nice summary of the issues. And then there's the inventory and assessment. And then after that, there's the key planning issues. And again, this is a summary of the key issues, and there are some issues there that were brought up. They're not necessarily in the recommendations, but for example, one of them was Walpole no longer has a community newspaper, or has limited. We have one community newspaper, but limited news coverage. So that was an issue people brought up, and it's again just good to highlight some of those things. And then the implementation plan, and there's one appendix. And I have 2 recommendations for the report. I think one thing that is missing, and I was hoping just to move this along, but I do think we need to go back and do that, is a better introduction that sets the context for the plan. I tried to do that in my letter, and I did have an email exchange with Judy and offered to expand on that. So I will expand on that to cover a little more of the context of how this all came about. And then the other thing is that there are other documents that I think could be added to the appendix that again will add to the answer some of the questions that came up at the meeting. So I just want to go through the questions. I have 23 issues that I derived from the meeting. So I want to go through and I can answer each one of them. The first one, the page discrepancy. I don't know why that happened. One thing is that there are blank pages in the printed report. There are no blank pages in the digital report. They just removed them. But there appear to be other changes as well, because things are not in the same places on some pages. So I think something is out of sync between the digital copy online and the printed copy. The digital copy is the most recent copy, so that's something we need to address with Judy, I think. Katie brought up the issue of the East Walpole Library that's in the report, and now it's been sold. And we can change that, but I think it does show why we need to move this forward, because there are a lot of things in the report, as time goes by, are going to be, going to change. And so it shows another good reason why we need to move this report and approve it. The East Walpole Fire Department, and again, Katie noted that she had offered that she wanted that as an implementation. It does have a description of the problems on page 111 and 112 in the printed copy. I apologize, I don't have the digital page numbers there. But that's something we, could go back and add it to one of the, one of the implementation recommendations. I know that Paul mentioned many social organizations are not in the plan. And again, that's unfortunate, but it would have been up to the committee to add some of those, or I'm not sure, the consultants would have found all of them. If you want to put a list in, we could. I think it's important to do, but I don't think it takes away, again, from the content and the recommendations in the report. The date of the master plan, Jack, you asked whether it be 2024. The date on it right now is 2022, because that was our expectation. And again, everything got delayed, most unfortunately. But I do think it's important to get it out as soon as we can, so that it doesn't, doesn't become, it doesn't reflect what the current state is. The cover letter, we can certainly update that. The list of people interviewed, there was a lot of discussion about that. So I do have the list of people. There were 2 meetings, but actually there were 2 sets of meetings. There was one set of meetings on July 26th, July 28th, August 2nd, and August 4th, 2021. And those were meetings held with boards and commissions. And the boards that attended those meetings were the Conservation Commission, the Adams Farm Committee, the Board of Health, the Friends of Adams Farm, the Library Board of Trustees, the Planning Board, the Select Board, Walpole Historical Society, and the Walpole Housing Authority. And I can send you that list. In addition to that, there were 2 meetings on July 20th and July 27th, 2021, meeting with staff of the following departments. And that was the Accounting Department, the Collector Treasurer, Community Economic Development Department, Council on Aging, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, the Health Department, Information Technology Department, the Police Department, Recreation Department, Town Accountant, Town Administrator and Assistant Accountant, Town Administrator, the Town Clerk, the Veterans Agent and Disability Affairs Advocate, and the Walpole Public Library and the Walpole School Department. So all those boards were invited to attend these meetings.
Phil?
Yes.
I didn't interrupt you, sir, by
No.
any means. Did you get an attendance? You said they weren't invited, but
They didn't. I don't have an attendance list, but I mean, there were 3 meetings and 2 meetings, and so
I'll comment after, but I just, okay.
Jack, you raised the question about acronyms, the OSRP, that's one, the Open Space Recreation Plan, and they did usually spell them out. There might have been a couple the first time they used them. But I just want to note that there are 24 town reports listed in the bibliography that they used. And I think that's to be commended, that they did go out, they found all of the reports and studies that the town has done recently, so they actually built on those, which we would have wanted them to do. So they're listed in the bibliography, along with many, many other state, regional, and US reports. I know there was a question about there's no footnotes, who said things. I looked back at the other town plans. I looked at the town plan from 2004. There's no footnotes there either, by the way. And I think it's very reasonable, because they talked to a lot of people, and their job was to synthesize what they heard. So it isn't like one person said this, and and that's what we wanted them to do. And I think they did a very good job doing that. So I feel confident that they represented fairly what they heard, and I'm sure that they also, because they have done a lot of other master plans for towns about the same size as Walpole. Certainly have different issues, but they can, they have some sense of what we would be finding or what we would not be finding, or how to apply it with the knowledge of our town. The landfills, that's something that we can update. Jack, you brought that up. Climate change, I know we disagree over that on Jack, But I do want to say that the select board added it to the list of elements, that's why it was there. The master plan draws from the research, findings, recommendations of the reports that Walpole has done and those or participated in, including the 2017 Hazard Mitigation Plan, the 2020 Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Plan, the 2019 Community Resilience Building Workshop, which I attended, the Metro Boston Regional Climate Change Adaptation Strategy, and the 2018 State Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan. So these are things that the town has already been working on, because climate change, whatever you believe we are seeing a change in weather, and we're seeing an impact on the sustainability of our own town. And I will say that we're very fortunate to have the Northeast Climate Adaptation Center in Amherst, and we've had them speak in Walpole twice, who can make predictions specific to Boston and Metro Boston area, including us. So it gives us better information how to anticipate what climate change might mean. Jack, you raised the issue of EV charging stations. It didn't mention how many we have now, but I do want to say the important thing is that in implementation recommendation 5B8, it's recommended that the town should look to implement charging stations at suitable town buildings and facilities. The 2004 master plan, you may have wondered whether they used that. I can tell you, I did find notes from that I hadn't seen before, where all of the different consultants working for Judy actually looked back at the 2004 plan and actually listed out the things that had not been completed, and they used that in some of their deliberations of what they recommended going forward. The questions about how big Walpole can grow in the housing partnership, they didn't mention the housing partnership as far as how big Walpole could grow. That was something that was handled on page 80. Online won't be helpful for that, but it's in the housing section under historic trends. And what they said there, in response to growth in housing demand, new single-family subdivisions were built in the former agricultural areas of the north and south of Walpole. This has remained the dominant housing production trend in Walpole into the 21st century. But today, there remains little unprotected, easy-to-develop land on which to construct single-family homes. Much of Walpole's recent housing growth has been through multifamily apartment complexes in and around commercial areas, notably the two large apartment complexes in the central business districts. That's a quote from the report. So I think what they're basically saying is that they don't see a lot of growth for single-family houses because there's no land left, or not a lot of land left. But I did think that what they did is a very good job when they introduced the analysis of the building to land ratio and the area floor ratio that gives insight into what we might expect for houses, where there might be tear downs, how many houses may be sold. So that analysis, I thought, was actually, looking for what's happening today, I thought was very helpful, and I just want to point that out. Another question that came up was on the survey. I know, Katie, you were concerned and have been concerned that people might enter things more than one time. But I've gone through the results, and there were different means that people had to enter their answers, the survey, the MITRE board, the different forums and so forth. And I don't have concerns about it. I mean, I think that those different means allow some cross-checking. And again, I trust Judy Barrett and her team on the analysis they did. Jack, you asked the number, where there's no ranking of issues, what's the number one issue? And that's true. They did not do that. I would say the committee did not ask them to do that. And again, the committee had full control over this whole process. So if things aren't there, that might be something that we didn't think of too. But I think what the ratings do is they rate the level of complexity and time frame, and that gives a sense of when the project should happen. And the next step to the master plan steering committee, to the master plan itself, is for the select board, at their option, but many towns do this, they then appoint an implementation team that meets time to time and looks at the next level of implementation. Because there's a lot of things that we felt uncomfortable being too specific on, because we didn't really know sometimes all of the details, or we weren't in a position to know how things are changing, where we want to make things a little more general and let the appropriate town department or town board make those decisions. But we did have, very specific recommendations. No, Jackie raised the question about no school projections, and I just want to reference in the section on Walpole Public Schools, page 108, quote, "Most of Walpole schools can accommodate enrollment growth, but they require spaces for special education and computer labs. Common areas such as cafeterias, libraries, bathrooms, and nurses' offices in the older schools would require renovations to accommodate growth, e.g. Boarding school. The new middle school project is one such action taken to accommodate changing needs and requirements. K-12 enrollment in Walpole has fluctuated over time, including a significant 7% increase between 2000 and 2010, but a decline since 2010 from 3,954 to 3,679, consistent with trends throughout eastern Massachusetts. And there's a chart there that tracks enrollment by school buildings in 2000, 2010, 2020, and 2022. So I think part of the answer to that is that they're not seeing a big increase in enrollment, and that's in meeting the trends of eastern Massachusetts. And I think that's the trend in the Northeast in general. And what are the priorities of the school department? I think, Jack, you asked that. And there is a listing of those on pages 107 and 108. And again, I apologize that that's the printed copy, not the digital copy. The Walpole Food Pantry, I know there was a question, well, of the people served, how many are in Walpole? And that might have been nice to have, but I think the important thing is that we in Walpole are serving that many people regardless of where they live. So I think that was pertinent. Now, there was general recommendations in areas like where the crosswalks should be. And I know, Jack, you said, why didn't it say specifically where they should be? And again, the answer is in our discussions in the committee, we often stayed away from recommending specific things at that level, thinking that, things change very quickly, and it's really best left up to the appropriate department or boards to make those specific recommendations. And but we did know that we should be doing that. We should, bicycle safety, pedestrian safety, those were all very important things, and we recommended that the town should improve on those, and we had very specific things that should be done, but somewhat general. I will say that in the report, it did talk about the different dangerous intersections in Walpole. It mentions them by street intersection. It mentioned the number of accidents. It mentioned how many accidents been occurring. It did some analysis of the byways, the main byways in Walpole. And then it also talked about the projects that are going on right now, which I know you mentioned the 1A project, and there's others. So it was highlighting the work that is being done now. I know there was some mention that meetings were long and drawn out, and they might have been long, but we had 102 recommendations to go through, and we did a very thorough job doing that. I watched a couple of the meetings in the last couple of days, and I came away feeling that I think the committee did a good job in having an open discussion, allowing everyone to speak. I will say that sometimes there were some issues because many of our meetings were on Zoom, and that required roll call votes, so that made it a little bit more difficult. And there was but I think in general, I think things went efficiently, and I think that we got the job done. So in summary, I think the report does a fine job in assessing where the town is now and our vision, where the vision of residents are, and recommending actions. that could be implemented to meet that vision. And I don't, there were challenges, and it's unfortunate that it took a long time to get things out, but we can't go back and change that. I know there's an impasse right now, whether Judy meets with us by Zoom or not. But I do think we owe it to the town, and we owe it to the committee to move this report forward. And you know, I will, any other changes you have, if you want to send them to me, we will work to get those made. But I do want to highlight that I think this is a very sound report, and I'm very proud of it. I think the committee is proud of it, and I think it's time to move forward. Thank you for the time.
Okay. Paul?
Well, when did the plan start, Phil? When did
did
the
it
plan
start?
originally start, yes?
Yeah, the first meeting was October 5th, 2021.
2021.
2021. We had expected to finish it by the end of 2022.
Okay.
That was the
All right.
goal.
But you refer a lot about how COVID slowed it down. But I mean, if my recollection serves me, Phil, I mean, the world was shut down March 15th of 2020. So I would say 2020, I understand, was really a lost year for a lot of people, right? You're telling me your first meeting was, again?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it slowed us down, but it made the meetings more.
Oh, hold
Yeah.
on. If I could just finish my thought.
Yeah.
Your first
It was
meeting was?
October 5th, 2021.
All right, so almost a full year later, and again, Phil, you know, I come seeking my disapproval is just because not because the committee did something wrong. I just, you know, it's just not something I can get my head wrapped around. I mean, again, you say, you know, all of those committees were invited, but yet nobody can tell you who was there for attendance.
That's not true. I did not ask Judy exactly who the people were. I didn't go that far. I mean, I'm corresponding by
But
email.
that kind of goes to what Jack originally brought up about Cliff Notes, like who said what? Like, I mean, you know, the fire department, the police department, these people were, I mean, you normally would do that in any,
It was meetings where people from all these departments met together. They had 4 opportunities.
but for you
4
speak-
opportunities.
You speak that these committees were actually speaking to one another, and,
They-
but yet you don't know who was there because you never saw it from Judy.
First of all, I don't mistrust the Barrett Group on doing these things, first of all.
Phil,
Second-
I'm just asking questions.
No,
sir. I
you
mean,
can
because
ask
I get, well,
questions.
you're getting flustered here, and I'm not trying to fluster
Well,
you. I'm just
your questions are often very,
Right.
a little bit, you're distrustful of the process.
Okay, I got one.
Yeah.
Who is there? That's all he wants to know. I don't think that's a hard
I-
question to answer.
I don't have a list.
Okay, so there is
That's
no...
all. I mean, Phil,
Okay.
that's no reflection on you. I'm just saying, if you don't know, like, where can we get that information? Like, did every department?
Just be very clear.
Okay.
The 2004 report doesn't do any of that, okay? So,
Just
You're-
because 2004 didn't, doesn't mean this one.
no. So I can ask Judy for a
okay.
list. I can ask Judy for a list. I have documents that summarize what everybody said on those two different sets of meetings, that they wrote copious notes. But I just want to clarify one thing. The COVID made things go slower because we had to take roll calls. The things that delayed things were getting the report from Judy on time. You know, we weren't able to get things moving, and for every reason. Like I said, I don't answer that. I don't want that to be putting a black spot on this report.
Well, but
But just one other thing. The committee, at the time the committee got engaged, our highest priority was getting public input from the community, because that was the number one thing that we needed to do at that time.
But let me recite the process that you told me that took place, right?
Yeah.
That the select board went out to bid and hired Judy's company.
I wasn't part of that, but that's correct.
No, Phil, this has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, no, but I just be
So
clear that.
what I'm saying is,
That's
outside,
what they did,
right.
yeah.
So-
And Katie was involved in that.
No,
Yeah.
you're the one,
Yeah.
you know, you're the one leading this
I was the
discussion.
chair.
Yeah, the chair, right,
Yeah.
right.
But I came in after that whole process.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Phil, I get it.
Yeah.
I have no reflection on you that Judy was chosen, right?
Yeah.
My issue is with Judy, not you, the chair, not the committee. I mean, these are all people that I hang out with, Phil. I mean, I hang out with you. I mean, these are all common people. Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying is that a subject matter expert was hired, and this is the result that we got. This is poor.
What I'm saying is, I think the report is really very good. There were some hiccups in getting it done, and I don't know why that happened. Judy's very...
I think
Judy-
you disagreed with some of the stuff. You said, well, certainly this was missed, and, I could do this, and this was missed.
It could've-
And you,
I said that what was missing was the introduction and some of the appendix at the end.
but Phil, if this woman was that good, this stuff wouldn't have never been missed.
I don't know what happened, but I
We
don't...
we see engineering companies come before us, okay? We had one in front of us who was one of the better ones in the town. Do we all agree on that, Mr. American? Right, his plans are solid. If Judy was the equivalent of an engineering firm, she's nowhere close to Mr. American's talents.
But what I'm trying to say, the content of the report is good.
I don't trust it.
Well, that's your... I'm just telling you
Okay,
my
well, then
opinion.
Phil,
I don't have a
It doesn't matter,
problem.
then Phil, this doesn't
Yeah,
get my vote.
I don't have a problem
This
with
doesn't
it.
get my vote, then, that's all.
Okay, but
It's
that's
just-
fine. I
okay,
don't have a
that's
problem
all.
with it.
That's all. I just something I cannot get. You're missing the, again, the social aspect of it. I mean,
How important was that, though? Well,
I'm
I
sorry,
mean-
Phil, but Phil, do you not know what the social aspect of this town, Walpole Lions? You know what we do for the
I'm
town?
not- I'm not questioning that, I'm just saying...
Well, you just, no, Phil,
but-
you
but
kind of,
from the-
you just slapped the social aspect of this town, Phil.
wait.
How about the Junior Women's Club?
Could you...
How about
could
all
you-
these people
could
that?
you maybe come... you're-
No,
you're-
Phil,
could you
because
calm
you
down?
just dismissed the very thing I said that is missing.
Could you let me please speak? I didn't, no, but you...
You're speaking a lot, Phil.
Well, I...
Phil, you just had 15 minutes on the floor with
I didn't get a
uninterrupted.
lot to speak. I want to answer the things, and I want to do it in a
Go
calm
ahead, Phil,
way.
go ahead.
What
No,
I-
but,
what I meant-
okay, Phil,
wait,
I gotta
wait.
say, I've been sitting here. Your calm is saying you're wrong, and then Paul gets mad and starts, so you think you're wonderful by not raising your voice, but you say you're full of,
No, I just want to clarify. I didn't mean that the social organizations were important, but I meant in the scale of the plan, that the most important things are the implementations, the recommendations. So we can go back and put that in. So let's do it. But that didn't happen just because of Judy. Like I mentioned, members of the committee didn't catch that either. So it wasn't where our attention was. But we can go put it in. I mean, I just need a list of them.
you got anything there?
Yeah.
Really?
Phil, can you show me, just so I can read what you're referring to about the police and fire comment? I have the printed version, you said you have it on the written version, can I just read it so I can see it?
Yeah, you mean the report that Judy has,
No, the master plan.
the master plan.
You said it was
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No, can you show me where it is? so I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have
so
to
the,
quote
yes,
the entire
I can,
thing?
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's right. If you read there, and there.
Is it under a goal? Is
It was under facilities.
But it's not under a goal.
No, so there's no goal for it. That's what we would need to add. The goal that you wanted is
And
not
it's-
there.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you misphrased my goal.
Okay.
So, it wasn't just fire, and I didn't specifically, I used East Walpole as an example, but I don't think that's for us to determine. What it is the police and fire. So we clearly spell out, like in a goal, we spell out the school department, the school facilities. We need to spell out police and fire facilities also.
Yeah, no, so we can add that. We can add it.
And just a few
I don't know why
comments
it
you
wasn't
made,
there.
and I'm not looking to argue, but I can't let it go and not say anything, so so you yourself said the master plan's very important, it should have our vision and goals. You made the comment it was very based on public input, and that we did a good job reaching out to the community, so I have completely disagreed about that from the beginning. I've been vocal about it, and I'm not going to bore everyone and read the emails I have. But when the survey went out, it was an absolute embarrassment I was at work, and I was receiving emails in my personal email, emails in my work email from people I do not even know. I was receiving phone calls. People walked into my office, and this was in a 2-hour period that I was completely bombarded, and it's because I am available most days and people know where to find me. I was frantically reaching out to shut it down, and you were not available, Judy. They didn't respond. Finally, at about 11 o'clock, I got up out of my chair and I walked to town hall and told Pat to shut it down. He had just done so. And if I go through the whole timeline, I really don't want to dwell on the negative, so I'm trying not to here, but I was told it was shut down, and then unknown to me, and I sent an email and said, we should all talk, because that's a logical way to proceed in my eyes, that everyone talks about it and comes up with a better plan. And instead, what happened was the survey was put back up unknown to me. I started getting emails again, and I sent emails, and I have them here, to the, I don't know what you called it, the leadership committee or whatever we were. It was me, you, Pat, and Judy, basically. And I made it very clear that I was unhappy with the survey. As it proceeded over the weekend, and the survey was out there, people were commenting to me how it was limited number of characters you could put in, so some people were filling the survey out. One person told me they did it 10 times. So I don't have confidence in the public information that was gathered, because in my opinion, and you can have your opinion, but I clearly have my opinion. In my opinion, I can't be confident in it. When it first went out, people could change other people's comments. They changed that after it was shut down. But I don't know if those, comments that other people did away with, those first people who put them in, if they ever knew that and went back and put their comments in. I don't know if, how many of those surveys were filled out by just a small group of people with good intentions. I'm not saying they were trying to be corrupt, but you weren't getting various points of view necessarily. I do feel the physical meeting we had with the public was good, and I feel that a lot of that information didn't get through to the master plan. So I have to disagree on so many points, but, at this point, I do think we have a base, but we need to tweak it. I'm just going to leave it at that, because I think I could have the mic all night and go on and get fired up, and I don't think that's going to benefit anyone. So I definitely feel that Paul's comment about the community organizations do make a huge difference in Walpole. I think he's right, they should be in there. We mention other organizations like the Green Group and those groups. If we're going to mention groups like that, we have to mention the community organizations that make Walpole, Walpole. We need to address the fact that public safety facilities should be blatantly spelled out in the plan. If we incur the growth that is projected, I don't know how that'll impact the police department if they need facilities or how they need it, but it will impact the police department just like it'll impact the school department. It will definitely impact the fire department, and even without that growth, I look at East Walpole and see a need. I also, after the last meeting that we discussed this, dug a little deeper and found out that there was actually a letter written by the fire department February 2nd of '22 addressing the issue, which I didn't know about. So it's not just me wondering and driving through East Walpole and seeing that station. It has been identified the fire department has spent time spelling out possible sites, and that it is definitely an issue. So, it's, in my eyes, you know, when we have growth, there's no question. School department, police department, fire department, in no specific order, all three are important. They need to be addressed. They are what makes our community, you know, work. Without them, we're in trouble. So, we need them spelled out in there. And
Yeah, and we could add those,
Yep.
Katie.
so, that's all. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna keep going, so I'm just gonna zip
Well,
it.
it's just overwhelming that we keep adding and adding and adding and adding. I mean, it's almost like, you know, you don't have the true sample of the public, as you said, that was going to be what we needed, the voice of the public. I mean, there's just so many cases here, Phil, of,
Well, I haven't heard a lot of debate about the recommendations themselves.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
okay.
we'll get, John? You good? All right. Mine, I got a bunch, okay. I've read a bunch of times. And first off, the master plan isn't this, okay? Master plan's supposed to gather information, digest it, put it, and what you see the top needs for the town. Do you need a new school? Do you need a new field? Do you need to redo this intersection? That's not on this. What this whole master plan reads is, it's a findings, a gathering. There's nothing concrete said to do. Now, Phil, you said, well, we didn't want to overstep our bounds. Well, that's what this is supposed to do. It didn't. You should have had from each and every one a list of their top lists of what they see they have for needs. That's what was done last time. They identified last time, councilman agent, fire department, police department, all right, even fields. It all got done. This is nobody sitting in a computer, all these wonderful files, everything is pulled off the internet. If you read this, it's all off the internet. There is nothing, this is like a source. They didn't mention one person, one department head or anything. You could just sit at your computer all day and just pull this off. There's nothing, I could change that to Medfield and you never know the difference, other than some of the names of the streets. So this was a gathering.
Like
And
I
it's
said,
not-
there were six meetings with town officials and town boards.
Phil,
I will reach out to
Okay, and
and
now-
get a list of the people they talked
Yeah,
to.
but I'm also saying this,
Yeah.
this report is, here's all the information I pulled off the internet. Well, what are we doing with it? Well, we didn't want to push anybody. So
Well,
it's not a report. You kept going back, what I really object to is the fact that you said, well, this committee should have done this, the committee should have done that. No. We hired the expert. She should be telling, what do you think of this, what do you think for that? She should bring it to them. This is what we do here. Nobody on that committee should have been an expert at what a master plan is. She should have.
She was.
No, you
guiding
said
us.
we should have, the master plan group should have. The master plan group should have never brought up anything. You can't fault anybody for that,
Can I
because that's not their
interrupt you for
job.
1 second? I don't think we should use the word expert, because nobody was an expert.
didn't say
It
it.
was that they had experience.
No, they were different parts, but they didn't have experience with a master plan.
Right. But
If
they
you
weren't
hired,
experts in their area. They're
you hire
not.
an architect, or you hire a guy who does your engineering, you expect it to be done. You may want this color or this or that, but it's not up to you. It says, hey, did you know you're supposed to show the septic system? Oh, really? No, that's what she didn't do. So I'll continue. The 204 was never even looked at. There's no way it was. And here's the other thing. You started, no school, what you read about the school enrollment was this, Phil. You know, I'm 1 and 1 is 2, I'm over the top. No, tell me, when you stop at 2022 enrollment projection, that tells me you're afraid to tell you what's going down the road. They know what the 5-year out is. I've been doing this for, 30-something years. 5 years out is everybody born. Why didn't they give that to you?
I mean, we can ask them, but
Well, they should have, because that's
No.
part of this. Isn't school children, and if you have to build or you're gonna shrink, that should have been in there. Because if people want a master plan, I think the first thing they wanna know is, how many more kids? We're gonna have to build more schools, so we're gonna start, that should be there, not like, well, this is kind of the, and then you even mentioned something about, which really, tonight you said that, it was in there, about, I wanna know how many houses left to build. all they said, well, you know, we've taken the Walpoles down in the old fields, the old farms. Anybody in this town knows it. What do we got left? That's what you want out of this. People getting into it, not just, that was more of a, what do you call it?
Well, I think what they were saying is that there's not a lot of buildable land left
Okay,
for
yeah, but-
single-family houses.
Okay, and we paid $150,000 for someone to go, yeah, we don't have a lot of land left.
137.
I don't know, well, that was a good one.
People keep
And I-
coming in with 40Bs. to-
Yeah, that's the other thing. You know what? I didn't see one section here about 40Bs. I thought that should have been a,
I think there's a section.
no, I didn't read anything that says what's been built, what's being built, and what's being planned. I didn't see that in here. That should have been a very big part of this, but it's not there. People want to know. People want to pick this up and know. They just don't, this is like, da-da-da-da-da. Climate change, I already said it. Oh, we got a big thing on climate change. Why is it in there if we haven't put one freaking charging station in this town or got one electric vehicle? It means the town doesn't have any skin in the game on this, does it?
The select board asked for that to be on there.
I understand that, but
Yeah,
my
and-
point is, but that should have been in there. That should have,
The town has done some things around climate change and
well,
sustainability.
yeah, I see about the plastic bags at town
No,
meeting.
no, there's,
How many EV stations do we have?
there's a number in progress. The library
In
has been.
progress, I haven't seen any.
Well, yeah, there's been I don't know why they haven't been built.
We don't have it, do we? Okay, how many
I have-
EV vehicles has the town bought?
That would be another recommendation.
I recommend, no, Phil,
Yeah.
what it should be is, you have a whole thing on climate change. Well, it should be, well, this is what we've done, okay? This is what we got planned, and this is what we think in the future. That's not even there. None of that's there. It's just, green is good, but not for us. But,
I have a very different conclusion of that, Jack.
well, okay, then you, give me an example, other than banning plastic bags, which is, you know, help the environment. What is the town, what are their goals for this? Do they have any?
Yeah, so the town has done things like buy the streetlights and replace them with LED lights, which is saving us a lot of money in electricity.
Yeah, but they had to change them out anyway, so, okay.
No, Eversource owned them and was not doing it. By us
Yeah, but we
buying
had
them.
to eventually replace them.
We
Okay.
did, yes, we did. And that money was done with a grant because we became a green community. So we just got another grant, almost $200,000 being a green community, and we're doing a whole lot of work on,
On what? That's not in here.
it's not, but.
None of that was in there. Phil, you told me that last time. Fine, we
Yeah.
changed, we'd saving money. Great. That's the kind of stuff that should be there. People go, what are we doing? You read this report. It doesn't say anything.
Mr. Chair, can I just add, on your
Yeah.
note on 1 second? Phil, I just think like projections, what's the growth of electric vehicles for the town of Walpole? I mean, I don't really care, but I mean, somebody like yourself who cares about the environment, stuff like this, it's exactly. But what's the growth
Well,
expected? Over the 10 years, it's a 10-year plan.
But it wouldn't be just for Walpole, I mean, growth, those kind of
No,
projections. would be-
just for the town of Walpole, right? Because this is a master plan for Walpole, right? So, I mean, we're talking about, stations, right? So, in 10 years, how many electric vehicles do you think will be driving through the town of Walpole?
Well, I think that would be something that would require, that would be more of a state or, that whole thing is being looked at.
No.
At different.
The question I'll do it as
Yeah.
simple as possible.
Yeah.
Town of Walpole has all these vehicles, whether it be
Yeah.
school department,
Yeah.
DPW, whatever. How many do they have now? How many do they have?
Growth.
Yeah, and how many they plan on? Well, right now, it's not in there,
Yeah,
but I
no.
can tell you, no, 0.
Yeah, so that report was done and is being maintained by the, part of the Green Communities Program. The town had to do a 5-year plan on a vehicle inventory and a plan for vehicles.
Why isn't that in there?
I don't know if they looked at that, I mean,
Okay, but Phil,
And- yeah.
you're saying, I'm not gonna argue, there probably
Yeah.
is, but, man, put it in here.
well.
People
I
wanna
will-
read it. Here's the big one that, I know who said it, is, and right at the front, and this should never been in there, there was a statement by members of the business and EDC saying permitting is an issue, that it takes too long. It just was put out there, and nothing's ever been said. It didn't identify what person said it, didn't identify exactly what they're talking about, exactly what permitting, and what their recommendations are. It was just dropped there. Why is that even in there?
Well, that was input that the consultants heard, and they synthesized all the input they did, and
Okay, so you can have somebody just throw that out and just, so they just publish bitches, is what they do.
I wouldn't say that at all, Jack. I mean,
Well, that is-
But if you have a problem with it,
But
we can-
I think the better question, Phil, is what is the recommendation? So that's a complaint. What is the recommendation? Where's the recommendation for permitting? To speed it up or whatever, to make the people that do business, I'm a business owner, Katie's a business owner, right? How was in the next 10 years you're gonna help me?
I found permitting very smooth.
You did. Right. I never.
The fact that that's even in there.
For planning, zoning, building, I found it
I
very
could probably,
smooth.
it's right in the front. Yeah.
But like you said, why is the opinion
I
there?
know it's in green.
It's
too.
one person's opinion. My opinion is different than their opinion.
What else?
That's why I feel
It's not a good report.
Okay, economic development, here it is. Zoning and permitting. Members of the business community and the Economic Development Commission say zoning and permitting process is overly difficult and fails to encourage entrepreneurs to locate their businesses in Walpole. That's it. You get the rest of the 180 pages, nothing mentioned, not who it was, what the issue was, just a bitch in the front. Say that on TV, can you?
I think that statement is the feeling, right? Just in general. I'm not speaking for the town of Walpole or even but just a general feeling, Phil, right? That the town of Walpole seems to be more about concentration of apartments and condos and all these high-rise buildings. And not once, and even what I've seen is the concentration on business. Because everybody's taxes keep going up and up and up, right? Because as we keep getting more of these buildings, we need more resources, rightfully so. We need more space in the schools, right? And again, I'm for that, right?
The school population has gone down.
What's that?
The school population has gone down.
It's gone down?
It's
Okay.
gone down.
But why does
Okay,
the
but
budget keep going up?
Yeah.
But what's the projection?
Why is it, well, hold on, but, okay, why does the budget keep going up, Phil?
I can't,
But Phil, but that you can't say that, though. I mean, all we're saying is a taxpayer of Walpole,
And more
right?
superintendents in their
but you're
coterie
getting,
of
I mean, we didn't get into,
I'm not gonna attack
that gets in-
anybody personally here, I'm just saying, it's like, that
gets in-
doesn't make sense, you know?
Okay, what's the number one thing in any town? Schools.
Right.
What's the number one thing people want to know about schools? We're going to have to build more, or are we collapsing? That's not in here.
there's a little section about.
No, it talks about we need this for this and this and this. It didn't,
It's-
Phil. Numbers. 2022, we have this. 2023, we have this, 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 this. Where's it going? That should be in there. And a 5-year enrollment projection is very easy, because that's based upon the births of the kids. Went through that many years ago, and someone said, oh, what happens if they move up? Someone else moves in. So it's very accurate. Once you go beyond the 5-year, it starts getting a little iffy, but that's not even in there. I mean, we're spending $120 million up there, but we don't even know how many more kids we're gonna need. So, I'm gonna keep going.
Well, I think what they're saying is that in
They
general.
didn't say anything.
They did.
They
They
did
did
the
say.
spin. That was a spin.
Well, that's your interpretation.
Well, no, it's not my interpretation. It was a spin. They didn't tell you one thing about how many more, what they're gonna need, how much they think they're gonna have. There was a spin, but it's not my opinion. It's there. I like to find out. 1 and 1 is 2. You can't even get it in there for that, so let me go on. You go back to the 04 master plan, okay, guess what they did there? They identified all the people they talked to, which happened to be police chief, fire chief, assistant town administrator, DPW, they were all listed. So you knew right at the start of that book.
Yeah, and I can ask them for that list of actual people. Like I said, I
But you
was-
read in here, and you said, well, there's all these groups and departments. Well,
Well,
I don't
it's
think
not
the
in here.
assistant,
I read-
I know, but I don't think the assistant town engineer is gonna make statements that Kyle has to, it has to be what they thought, but there's not, every department should have a list of their top priorities. You go to police, they should have whatever they have. DPW, intersections, what they gotta fix. Everybody, that should be in here, but it wasn't. Last time you knew where you were going. Here's what else they had in
Just,
there.
they had copious notes on their interviews, what they found, what they heard.
What they heard, no,
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not into this. I like 1 through 50, or whatever it is. All right, now, what else they had in there is what they saw they needed, And they also had, if you go, the backfill, did you read the 04 one?
I did,
Okay, did you see the fact that they had about 20 pages of zoning changes recommended?
I did see that.
Is there any in here?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And we didn't
Oh,
choose,
yeah, you answered the question, thank you.
but we didn't choose to do it. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Now, we have a they recommended a housing partnership. There's not one mention here that partnership is defunct.
Is that
All right. And they also talked about the top issues by the people. And like Paul said, we lacked a lot of the other things that make up the town, but they did go to the food pantry, so we did have it somewhere, and we didn't have it other places. But we did have a couple groups mentioned in there, Walpole Green, no Walpole Gas Pipeline, Peace and Justice, but we didn't have Chamber, whatever else they do.
Yeah, that should have been there, and I don't, again, that was something we missed, and obviously the consultant missed, so.
I mean, but we seem to get the climate people in, but not the rest of it.
Yeah,
That's my big issue.
Yeah.
Let's see, there was, now, I'm not gonna go through every little thing, because I will fix it up, but you go to the back of that book, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not very impressive when you have 13 members on your committee and you get votes of 7-0, 8-0. That ain't very good. That tells me it was a half a committee.
But we had some 10-0-0.
If there was maybe one or two, but the majority, either 8 or 7. That doesn't
And
give a...
That is true.
That is a very atrocious record for voting. It's like going to the town meeting with a FinCom vote of 8-1, or 8-7.
Selectmen voting 3-0.
Or selectmen voting 2-0 or something. Yeah, we only had a half a committee,
have
so that...
five.
Well, the committee was 12, the committee had 12 members, so 7 and 8 is more than the quorum, that's
I didn't say it wasn't quorum,
Yeah,
Phil,
yeah.
you missed my point.
Yeah, no, I
You
got it
have,
right.
okay,
There's-
you
I-
got on the committees, there were 13 people
Yeah.
on, okay? But when you only have votes of 8 and 7, that doesn't speak well for this. Doesn't speak good at all. Where were the other members?
Well, there were different reasons why members weren't
For
there.
over 2.5 years?
Well, we had higher membership in the beginning.
Yeah, but you didn't have the votes like that in the beginning. All I'm saying, you just read it and you go,
Yeah.
all right, here are recommendations. 7-0,
It's just getting worse.
7-1, that's not a very good.
Well, the report itself passed 9-0-0 at the,
Yeah, okay, you're telling me.
But if I remember correctly, I think a comment was made, was that at that point, after, 2 years in the making, that people were tired. They almost like I didn't want to say they didn't care, because I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, Phil, but it just it sounded like it was an arduous process. Again, not your fault, right? Just whatever you said, the ebbs and flows of whatever happened and all the outside
You'd
factors.
have to ask other members.
Exactly, Phil, again,
I-
this is no reflection on you.
I-
Here's what I hear, Phil, all the time, is you're so deflecting your stance of a chair and the committee, and you're not listening to us trying to say that there's so many things wrong with this plan. And again, Phil, at the end of the day, I think we all will tell you, this has no reflection on you, sir. As being the chair of this, I'm sure it was a very hard thing. I mean, something I would never want to take on myself personally. But again, one person who's outside of this whole thing, right, is a company that was hired. And if that person knows what they're doing, well, listen, we should have buyer's remorse today. Because I certainly, as a taxpayer of this town, I would want my money back, because that is not ready for prime time. But yet you want to push this. The people need to, Phil, there's nothing in there that actually motivates anybody. Not me. We got many people voicing concern here, Phil. And all I hear is deflection. We've done a good job. Thank you, committee members. And nobody has said anything bad about a committee member here. Again, I think our focus is on Janet and her company. Judy, sorry, Janet, Judy, sorry, correction, it would be
Taking my
Judy.
ears and going,
Geez, what are you doing, imitation?
No, I'm just saying, listen, I think passion comes out just because, again, I am one voice of thousands of people that live in this town. I've lived in this town my whole life, and I just hate to, you don't want to just put something that I can't get around that, Phil. That's all. That's it. Again, no reflection to you, sir.
So do you disagree with all the recommendations?
It's not that I disagree with them,
They're crap.
yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all they are. Well, we could do this, or we could do, no. Boom, 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 boom. That's what it should be. What is the number one thing we need to do in this town right now? It's not there.
Right. Priority.
What is it? Exactly, the priorities.
Yeah.
There is.
No priorities.
That's what the master plan's about. What are our priorities for the next 20 years? Boom, here's number one. It ain't there.
So we did not do that. But
Okay,
It doesn't-
is there a timeline? Year one, try to achieve this, year two?
there are, the different implementations are, give a near-term, medium-term, long-term. It shows the complexity, so it gives a rating of complexity and a rating of how long it would take to do it. So,
But a timeline would have been so much better, though.
well, I
So
think
that would have been somebody that absolutely had it end to end, could see the 10-year vision, right, and then back step, so year 10, we should be here. So where should we be in year 9? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And then you do all the little activities to get to 1, to 2, to 3, to 4, and you just keep with your North Star as year 10. That's all. And I just, again, reading the plan, I don't think there's a North Star, because I wouldn't know what the priority is on that. It just highlights just a lot of areas that, there's like a fire over here in North Walpole, there's a fire here in East Walpole, there's a fire in West Walpole. Which one do we fight first?
Well, there are the 9 different, actually 10 different categories. So it isn't like you're going to pick one out of all those. This is the only one you're going to work on, or that's the most important. There are important ones in each of those categories.
Yeah, but you have
That's
to
a-
prioritize.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Yeah, that's all.
There has to be one most important thing.
We didn't
If
do
he's
that. so-
bleeding, you handle
You
the
took
bleeding.
from-
You don't worry if his
Yeah,
fingernails are.
Phil, what I'm hearing, sir, is you took from 10 areas of concentration, but you sift those through, and of those 10, what is the most pressing of the 10? Right, do you know what I'm saying? Because one is going to trump the other.
Well, I think
mean,
it'd be
is
hard-
climate change going to
it's
trump
hard to-
everything?
It's hard to pick, when you have this many things, it's hard to say, this is the one, because there's high priorities in each area.
True, but
So,
Well, maybe, Phil, maybe again, did you take too large of a sample size?
well, we have 102 recommendations,
Well,
because we were
That's
being,
wonderfh
not
yeah.
all of them are valid.
But,
But, okay, let me,
Yeah,
I'll
Jeff,
just
sorry.
read one
Sorry.
here. Economic goal, this is one, I guess 1A1 means it's the top one. It's for economic development. Well, how are we gonna increase economic activity and diversify the tax base, provide more jobs, more shops, restaurants for the residents to enjoy? Here's a recommendation. Implement the recommendations of the Rapid Recovery Plan and update the Downtown Action Plan. That says nothing. That says nothing.
well, I think what it's doing is building off plans we
It
already
doesn't,
have.
it doesn't say what to do.
But
It doesn't. It's
don't
a-
you want to build off plans that we've
No,
already
I want
produced?
recommendations, Phil. I want someone to come out, we should fix the street here, or we should rezone this. This is just, okay, the next one. Sponsor and organize a citizen planning transportation collaborative, I love that word collaborative, training for all regulatory boards to improve volunteers' ability to lead effective planning efforts. What does that have to do with economic development, getting more money and tax base here? Zero. This is all, well, definitely not an English major, but gobbledygook in my opinion.
All right, so what are we doing?
Well, I'm gonna send in mine. Mine will be all done and sent in.
Okay.
I'll send it
So
to everybody what
we'll
I
send
got.
it- Who we send it to, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we sending?
What are we sending?
Just send whatever you got to
Changes you'd like
Kate,
to see.
and she can send it to all of us.
So we're sending our recommendations, or
Yeah.
are we setting,
Okay, well-
are we approving, or just anything that we,
This is what we got, and we'll assemble them, and then yes, no, yes, no, yes, no,
okay. But all right.
whatever everybody thinks.
Okay.
So you're
So
voting
you're
on all
saying-
of the 102 things again, Jack? Is that what you're saying?
102 things.
The 102 recommendations?
In here?
No. Yeah.
No. These are the stuff that we need to be changed. That's what we're gonna vote on, and then it'll go back to Judy Barrett to implement.
Can I ask though, Jack, at some point though, if this is so in disarray, if that's fair.
No, this is Jello. You can never get a hold of it. It
Right.
just keeps.
But what I'm saying is that are you gonna try to repair something that's like Jell-O, or do you just throw the Jell-O out and make new Jell-O?
We'll put this what we think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's partial way there. It's not all the way. To me, it's like, I'm not gonna say if there's 3 phases, it's phase 2. It's somewhere, there is work done here.
Yeah.
But now it's time to, all right, we've gathered everything. Now, let's get some stuff here spun off of that.
But again, going with the person that hasn't given us the warm
Well, she
fuzzy.
ain't gonna do this. I know that.
Okay.
We give her a list like this, just go, because she's too busy in New Hampshire.
Well, if I keep on mentioning the committee, because I do feel that members of the committee work very hard, they,
Phil,
Nobody's
enough,
disputing that.
enough,
Nobody's
Phil, I've
disputing
said
It's
that
like
100
every
times.
town meeting, yeoman's effort, I know. How many times we had to go over it? No one said they didn't.
Yeah, Phil, yeah,
So-
never once look back at all the minutes. I've
Matter of fact, I
never-
defended them tonight, saying that Judy Barrett should have done it, and they should have no blame in this, so.
Yeah, said,
The only real blame is you didn't show up to vote. That's, and it appears when you voted, it was all the same people. It wasn't like one night you did this and another night. So it seemed like it was a block of 7 or 8. Didn't seem like,
there were some differences.
yeah, but it was
Actually-
always like a couple different meetings, so, anyway.
Yeah. So Katie was at 2 of the meetings where we voted.
I have
And-
no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you were at, I mean, so there's 2 of us on the board, on the committee. And
I didn't go to the
I
last
think we've
one.
said everything we can say tonight.
So what we should do is send in what we think should be in there, not necessarily opinions. Like, I'm not gonna send it in, it's a big pile of.
well, I don't think what we're looking for is grammatical mistakes and things like that. I mean,
Well, there are
just-
some there, and some,
Well-
yeah, but they should be taken care of. And a few things that,
Yeah.
and people say like they listed something wrong. I tell you one thing is everybody knows if something in your town, they call it the wrong thing, bah, that usually everybody's focal point. There are a few like that. And that's not a big deal, but it should be what we think needs to be in there, not necessarily opinions. Does that make sense? Right? You better get it all together.
Oh, I will. If we're putting this on the next agenda? What are we doing with this?
Yeah, well, we're not meeting next time, right? Yeah, so 21st, so get in the next week or 2.
Oh, our next meeting's not till the 21st. Okay.
And then what you can do, Kate, is when you get them all in, just send them all back to us, so we have everybody has everybody, so you know ahead of time. I know what Paul's is, I know Phil, John's, Kate's, mine, so everybody sees it. So that you can always, it should be when you get there, I like this, I don't like that, boom, boom, boom.
And what am I doing with it after that?
I think you should retype it.
Excuse me? Should be done.
No, this is like, what's my minimum, okay? This comes in, you put them all together, you run them through if they don't come in a PDF, run them through, put them in a PDF, and then send them all out.
Okay, then I'm done.
Yeah, you don't even have to retype anything.
I'm not gonna. Perfect.
Let's see about planning secretaries. You're not master. Anything else on this? If
Motion
not,
to adjourn?
okay, let's second that, all in favor?
Aye.